and they'll have like a speckled chest. They love to eat fish. That's why their nests are always near the water. They are constantly trying to go fishing. And if you see a large nest out with a bunch of sticks and a confident bird on top, I'm sure it's an osprey that you're looking at. um, So the history of ospreys on Nantucket. So ospreys are one of the birds that really depict the whole DDT situation of they are very common. They occur all over the 50 states, but their populations plummeted between 1950 and 1970 due to pesticides, especially DDT and everything with Rachel Carson. So after they were finally regulated, they bounced back. And what was happening was their shells were thinning, and their shells were thinning, so their offspring weren't hatching right and everything. So after that they regulated them again, and then in 1979 was the first recorded osprey that had breeded here on Nantucket, and it was on a platform nest in Cascada. And then since ospreys are a big huge key indicator species and they're heavily researched out here, we had a jump start because of Dr. Robert Kennedy from Ryan Mitchell, and his early research on Nantucket was like the catalyst for bringing attention to these amazing birds, and it really helped to raise awareness and inspire local interest in our conservation. And we can't thank you enough for jumpstarting that for us. So little history. This might be kind of blurry on your screen, but I thought this was kind of interesting. So after 1979. The population kept growing, and it was up to about 14 pairs in 2010. And what I thought was really interesting was most of these ospreys they only nested on man-made platforms. They weren't nesting in trees, which we know now that they have now nested in a couple trees around the island and everything. But like on the Cape and on Vineyard, they use like all different kinds of structures, and I find that very interesting. The further I dive into all the osprey research and everything. So this is where I need your help. So with the Nantucket Osprey Watch, it's going to be totally volunteer driven, and I made it very simple. It's just observing, recording, and reporting. And we're going to just expand on the research, and we are working with the Massachusetts Osprey Working Group, which I had a huge help from Dave Rimmer from Greenbelt, and then also Mark Verity from Wellfleet, Mass Audubon, and they were the ones that helped me create the interactive map and come up with those great ideas. And then me and Saoirse, our marketing coordinator here at Linda Loring, we went to work and got all these forms together. So we're all really excited. And yeah, so here are the goals for this year is let's just go out and identify all the osprey nests. Let's just go out and find them all and have a record of it. We're going to record the nesting success to see if they fledge young. If they don't, we're going to create a volunteer network, and then determine the population status. And then eventually with enough data, then we can do other things like identify habitat areas for new poles to support new populations, or to support the population, and then continue to expand this program, which I'm really excited about that too. So how can you help? There's two different ways. You can just go around and report new nests for us. So starting this year, every nest is a new nest, because there was a time when Bob was keeping track of all the nests, but that time kind of there's like a delay in the timeline now. So we have to bring it back up. So right now we're gonna identify all the nests, and you can just fill out a really easy new nest form on our website, and there will be a slight delay between when the nest shows up onto the website because we have to like review it before we can like accept it in there. And then another way, if you want to be a part of the whole like osprey season, is to adopt a nest. And we just ask that you report weekly, like a 15-minute observation of the nest, especially between April, May, and June. Those are the high priority months. If you can do even longer, that is fantastic, and that would be amazing. But those are the real high priority months because that's the height of their breeding season. And then all the submissions are going to be a part of this interactive map. So as soon as you send it in, again, there's a slight little delay, but then you will be able to click on the map and see the latest observation that came through. And here's the osprey breeding cycle. So again, the March to April, that's when the males are going to first show up. I'm sure many of you seen them already. And then the nest building starts, and then May to April, the egg laying and the incubating for about 40 days. And in June, that's when the nestlings are fed and they start to get bigger, and then they eventually will learn how to fly, and then migration, and that will complete the whole season. And then, so setting up for monitoring. So once you've been confirmed as a nest monitor, we will assign you a nest. Some of the nests have already been assigned, and this will help diversify our surveying needs. And so once you are assigned a nest, it's best to go out and check out the area. So if you want to do an early visit or just to to see what the area is going to be like, what's the best viewing area, that would be fantastic. And then you always want to observe from a safe distance, and you want to approach the nest slowly. With this, it's just observational. We don't need to go and interfere with the nest at all or climb up the pole. All the observations can be made at a safe distance. And then, of course, don't go monitoring out in bad weather, like if it's raining, especially thunderstorms. It's not worth it, and the birds are also not waterproof, so they won't appreciate it either, especially if they're incubating eggs. So the other tips are, it's important to report all data, even if there's no activity at the nest. So even if you have nothing going on there, that is still data and is very useful for us. Also, when the chicks are first hatched, they're usually too small to see. So it's okay, and I'll show you in the drop down that if you can't count the number of chicks that are there, but you do see that the adults are bringing food to the nest to feed the fledglings, there is an unknown option. And then later on, when they get bigger and you can see their little heads pop up, then you can see if you can get a better number. And then, sorry, my throat. And then also, if you have a nest that doesn't seem to have any activity at all, there isn't any nesting material coming to it, around May 15th is the cutoff of when you can assume that probably that nest won't be active. And if that is the case for you in your nest and you still want to be an observer, we can assign you a different nest, or we can just work out that for you as well. I will be checking the maps on Fridays for the weekly submissions, and I will send out friendly reminders if I see that the nest hasn't been updated as frequently. And just to have fun, and we need photos. We have noticed by putting this all together that we have some photos, but we've used all the same ones again. So we would love all photos of osprey from the beginning to the end. That would be fantastic. And then, so at the end of the season, we will be contributing this information to the working group. And then we'll also report, we'll have a yearly report at the end, and we'll pass that around to everyone as well, and it'll be on our website. And then we'll make plans for the next season and continue to expand this program. So before I hop over to the website, is there any questions so far? Let me check the chat.
Libby, I have one, Spruce.
Yeah.
Um, I haven't seen the interactive map yet, but Diane Lang was mentioning to me that somebody already had picked out the ones and on the trustees.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And she wanted me to monitor them because I'm probably going to be doing part-time bird monitoring for her.
Yeah.
So and I mean, I don't want to step on anyone's toes, and I guess I don't know if two people can monitor the same nest, or I don't, but that was kind of
Yeah.
something that she had mentioned to me.
Mhm.
Also, she said that on the interactive map, she felt like the location of one of the nests was incorrect, and she would allow me to get a GPS, drop a pin on it if that would help you out for that.
That would be great. Some of the GPS coordinates I've been trying to correct. I was using like an old GIS map. So
Mhm.
I would appreciate that. And if you would to watch it, I'm more about more data and more eyes on stuff because the birds they interact and maybe you were there at the right time to see something amazing. Or it's part of like the little crucial data timeline. So I'm all about more observations. But with the interactive map, I'll hop over to our website and I'll go through all that type of stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Um, can you guys see it?
Not
No, we
yet.
can't.
How about now?
Now we can.
Okay, cool. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna go to the Linda Loring website, so lnf.org, and it's Nantucket Osprey Watch, but it's under Get Involved, and it's right at the bottom right here if you're looking from our homepage. So this is the main page. You got a little bit of information, and here's this interactive map that I was talking about. So what will happen is once you send a submission, and I'm gonna look at this one because I know that Jeff just saw this at 40th pole, and that's the first sighting of that the oyster catcher, the osprey for that pole. So that's really good. Thank you for doing that. And so they'll pop up just like that. And you can like look at all the different ones. But I would appreciate, since this is kind of starting all over again, of people adding new nests and also correcting if those nests don't exist too. That would be super helpful. And I'm gonna scroll down. So there's the report a nest form. There's also the nest check form and the volunteer form. But since you guys are already on this call, you don't have to really worry about the volunteer form. So this is what the nest check form will look like. And so once you're assigned a nest, you can use this drop down and go to whatever one that is you're assigned to. If yours doesn't pop up on here, then I need to add it to the map. So you would have to fill out the new nest form. So then you just type in your information. And in this case, I am assigned monitor of the nest, the observation date, which is today. And then it has to be, this doesn't have to be like very to the point. It can just be like you saw it at 5 o'clock or something. And you can do 5:20. And I definitely saw 2 adults. And no young yet. So when I said about the unknown, if you go on here, there is this unknown option for the chicks. And then you want to select any of these activities that you see. So ours have already arrived a couple weeks ago, and they're on to nest building. And then also you can fill in this. You can put in any observations that you want here, and you can also upload a photo and then hit submit. And then once you do that, like I said, there's a little bit of a delay. but it will pop up on our map. And what is displayed is the observer name, the date, the number of adults, the number of young, and then whatever activity. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions about that?
Forms. How many platforms were there on Nantucket, say last year, approximately?
I don't know. So it's around 30. It's around 30 to 50, maybe. Well, not platforms, but like nests, because we definitely have a couple of tree nests. I know there's a few out ahead of the plains and everything, but that's what I really want to figure out. But it's around 30, but I expect there to be more, because on the Cape, on Cape Cod, Mark Verity said they had 650 nests. And I know Martha's Vineyard had about 122.
Wow.
So for us to have 30, I feel like that's a little low, but yeah. And just by like putting these points on a map too, I've been finding, like, I don't know, just quick observations of like there aren't any in town, which I don't know, when you go to other if you're down by the boat at the ferry, you see them like on the flagpoles or on buildings and everything. And why wouldn't they be downtown? And like, why is there this big, huge hole out here in Sconset and everything? I kind of understand the airport, but like, I don't know. It's very cool to see the data coming in and also having more questions as you go.
Does someone manage the nests, add nests, or monitor them?
Has someone done it? It's mostly been Ginger was kind of keeping track of them, but and Trish too. But
The question is, does anybody manage them?
Like go up. I know
No.
someone was going up with a ladder, a member of a conservation team on the one on Long Pond, east of Long Pond, and they would go and look in the nest.
Yeah. So I'm not planning on doing that this year. But it was mostly just observational, and just reporting back what we see, because it's just the first year back basically of collecting all the data. But we really shouldn't have to interfere with them at all, other than just, taking in what they're doing that day.
I just submitted an observation.
Yay! Thank you. If anything, I get excited on the other side. I'm like, woo! What's going on?
And Libby, what date do you say that we had the first pair of osprey? I'm writing up a little thing. What you said we had the first nesting pair. I didn't catch the date.
It was in 1979.
Thank you.
The only question I do.
Oh, sorry. Could you do a quick run through of the new nest form and just show people like how to, submit a new nest?
How to submit a new nest?
Yeah.
Oops.
The only question I have: do they mate for life?
Yeah, it's believed they do.
Yeah. So the male first, right, and the female follows behind.
Yep. And another cool fact is when they leave, when they migrate, they actually go on 2 separate vacations. So the male goes somewhere and the female goes another place, and then they meet back up here in the spring.
And then my other question is, like, do they choose a different nest spot every year and like, oh, that's my mate, or do they meet at the same nest, like the same pair?
I'm not really sure, to be honest. I feel like they just come back and meet at the same spot.
Okay.
Libby, I was told in another setting that the ospreys are more loyal to the nest than they are to their mate. And if the male comes back to a nest, he's more loyal to that nest than to the mate. But I don't know if that's 100% true, but that's something I gleaned at some birding event. So I'm not 100% sure if that's correct, but that's what I heard.
Oh,
Like spruce,
well,
as in like it will protect the nest from a predator? I mean, like
No,
a female?
my feeling was more that they're not so much committed to the same mate, although it could be true. What I got from the conversation was they're committed to the nest. So if a male comes back first and a different female comes back, he's going to stay with that nest with that female, not find his old female that he was with. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what my understanding.
Oh,
So.
okay. So maybe it does get a new mate every year.
That I don't know, but I was, one thing I remember my takeaway was that it's more committed to the nest than the mate was my takeaway.
So I'm just gonna pop up the new nest form.
If you're interested, tomorrow there's a lecture at the Athenaeum at 5:30 from an osprey expert.
Yeah, Alan Poole. Yeah, he worked with Bob and Beauregard too. But that would be a good one. So yeah, so this is the report a new nest, the osprey nest. So same.
I also saw the PBS Nature documentary from 2001. I guess there's the season of the osprey in Connecticut. They put up cameras.
Oh, you cut out. But I imagine it's a good one. I haven't seen it yet. So you fill out your name, your email address, and then why won't that pop up? Well, there should be a thing right here that the location, and then you can drag and drop the thing, but for some reason, of course, it's not popping up right at this moment. And then you can go and describe the location of the nest, and if it's a platform tree, where it is, and then if you want to be the monitor of it, and we can discuss that later too. And then upload a photo. Oh, no, it didn't pop back up. Come on. Sorry. There it is. Okay, so you can go and you can just pull this and drag it to wherever the location is. You can also switch it to satellite. I find that a little bit easier. And then you can zoom in on the osprey bowl or nest or tree or wherever. And then that will, at the end, you just hit submit, and then I'll have those locations. Is there any interest in integrating osprey observation from apps like iNaturalist or eBird? So Saoirse and I just came up with the interactive map. This is our first attempt at it, and it's using a bunch of Google Forms and everything. So yes, we would love in the future to have the observations work with iNaturalist and or eBird. You can kind of do that, but in this case, to keep all the data in one spot, it would be super helpful for everyone just to report it back in to our website, just to keep it all in the same. Yeah. And then is there any other questions like
that?
Yeah.
Georgetown here.
Yeah.
My wife Ann and I, we're only on the island seasonally, but we will be up in a couple of weeks until the fall. But one of our observations we're out in Pulpus, and we have been watching that platform nest in Leesmore since it was put up.
Yeah.
And things look very promising, probably going back now 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Closer to 5. And we were very excited because we have a clear view of it from our house. And so I was observing it with a telescope, and we had a nesting pair came. And unfortunately also on Pulpus Road across, literally almost across, there is a cluster of trees near Crystal Mitchell's old property that
Yeah.
apparently it was a rookery for the turkey vultures.
Oh.
And we watched, much to our sad dismay, the turkey vultures literally ransacked the nest and drove the pair off. And since then, there's never been another attempt,
Oh.
at Osprey coming and starting over again. So that has been, a sad observation that we've made, and we always keep our fingers crossed when we come back this time of year to hope that,
Yeah.
but we've also been participants in the Barn Owl project, and
Yeah.
really great year 3 or 4 years ago, and nothing since. So I don't know what's going on in our neck of the woods, but we're striking out on barn owls and osprey. But
Yeah.
I certainly let you know if we see anything.
Yeah. Would you mind if I assigned you the Leadsmore Osprey Point? I
In
know
fact, I submitted, I just prior to logging in, I submitted the request to band observer. The problem is, we're not there in April usually.
Yeah, that's okay.
But yes, I'd be very happy to, because we have been observing it, I say, since the inception of the platform. So
Yeah,
happy
that's
to
cool.
do that.
Yeah, no, that would be super helpful. And I appreciate those that already reached out to me that said, I can just see them from my house and check in on them. It's really helpful. And that's one of the things about osprey is they're like so charismatic, and you are there with them as they're like building the nest and everything, and you're like just coexisting with them.
I mean, it's actually a great deal of amusement, because you can sort of see they'll bring up a big twig and then they'll put it this way. No, that doesn't work. Put it over here.
Yeah.
It's very, very entertaining and wonderful to see the whole process. So
Yeah. Yeah. Is there any other questions?
How do we let you know which path we'd like to do more?
How
Like,
do you let me know?
observer versus looking for nests?
Well, you can do both, but I can just assign you to a nest. So
Okay.
like if you don't need to be the finder of the nest. If there's some location that you go to like quite often, I can assign you that nest to make it easier for yourself, and you can
Yeah,
report
any
it that way.
location's fine. I'm on the Marine Mammal Rescue Team, so I'm always around.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I almost ironed out like well, not like all of the spots, but there's still some holes, but I will be in contact with you. But is there a place that you like live nearby, or you're
Let's
just like
go
always?
my common area.
Okay. Okay. I'll look into that.
Come on.
Trish, did you have a question?
I was just wondering, how are you going to let us know when we submit a new nest form and say, yes, I'd like to monitor it? Are you going to send us an email, or how will we know?
Yeah, I will. I will reach out to you and let you know.
Okay. Thank
It'll
you.
be me. Yep. And I will give you an answer either way of like, obviously if it's a new one, no one's watching it yet, but if it's a nest nearby and you're not sure if somebody's watching it, I can double check for you and get back to you on if they are or not. I was also thinking about updating the map in a little bit of maybe different colors so we can see who is like if it's being watched or not watched. But like I said, we just put this all together like last month, so we're at the stepping stones of it. Spruce.
Libby, is
Yeah.
there a recommended amount of time you want us to observe the nest for?
Yeah, at least 15 minutes or so.
Okay, thank you.
Per week. Per week.
Oh, per week, yes. 15 minutes per week. And up until at least the end of June, if you can. And longer is great too, like when there's stage migrate, but I understand. Any other questions?
Not a question, Libby, but whoever is assigned Gardner Farm, I was walking my dog during this meeting and I made an observation for you.
Oh, that's Anna. Yeah, and I mean, to be quite honest, like the assignments are more to make sure that we are covering everything. But if you, like in your situation, walk by and you can send in a submission, that is totally fine too. I don't want
everywhere.
people to, yeah, I don't want people closing their eyes when they see a poll because they're like, no, that's not mine. No, you can still report them in. Okay, well, thank you all. Unless anybody else has any questions, you can feel free to interrupt me. Thanks for listening to me go through everything and present this new program. And I hope you all can join and volunteer. And thanks to those who have already volunteered. I really appreciate it. I think it's going to be really great, but it is just in the beginning. So we got a couple of bumps, but it'll be great.
Well, thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Bye, everyone.
Nice job.
Bye.